Module 10, we're going to talk about configuration management, quality assurance. We've talked about the development of a software product via a set of requirements. And we start talking about the first of the integral processes, which is verification in modules 8 and 9. Now in module 10, we're going to talk about two other integral processes, which are configuration management and quality assurance. Again, these cover chapters in the book, in our textbook, chapters 10 and 11 respectively. Okay, so if you look at life cycle processes and you start performing development, or you do requirements capture, you do design, coding, integration, in parallel to this you need to perform verification activities. You need to review the requirements, design, code, and integration. You need to test it and analyze it. And what you find out, based on the outcome of these verification activities, you have to introduce changes to the development items. That means that these changes require you to retest, etc., etc. So all these changes must be managed very carefully so that you can keep track of all the things that you did change in an effective manner. So in software configuration management, it's really the discipline of identifying the configuration of a hardware and software system at discrete points in time with the purpose of systematically controlling changes to configuration and maintain the integrity and traceability of the configuration through the system lifecycle. So this is a mouthful. What you're really trying to do here in ee6083, you identify and define the configuration items, the things that you want to track throughout the lifecycle, and what you want to do is you want to control the release and change of these items during the various stages in your life cycle. In other words, if you come up with a high-level requirements document and you want to make changes to it, you want to control it. You want to make sure that people document all these changes in a very formal manner. So you want to record and report the status of these configuration items, and of course you want to verify that they're all complete. Okay, so what is a configuration item? A configuration item is really one or more hardware or software component that you can treat as a unit for configuration management purposes. For example, a file containing a software module, you can call that particular file, that software module, a configuration item. On the other hand, any software life cycle data, verification results, high-level requirements, these things may also be considered a configuration item that needs to be put under the configuration management process. So the first thing to do is to uniquely identify the configuration items unambiguously. Give them some label. Hardware requirement 1, HL1, for example. Come up with a configuration item that's unambiguous. Then you can actually control this item by using its label. Okay, so again, like anything else we saw before in verification or development, we need to have a configuration management plan in which we define the environment, the activities, the transition criteria, the data we're going to provide, and any supply control that needs to be considered. So if you look at the activities, it really means identifying the configuration items, setting a set of baselines, perform problem reporting, change control, change review, and I'll talk about all these things in a little bit. Perform configuration status accounting, archive, retrieve, and release. Control the software loads, and environmental controls and data controls. So we'll talk about most of these items a little bit throughout the remainder of this module. Okay, some basic. I'm not actually going to mention what these are. We're going to just look at the block diagram on the next page. So suppose we start some initial development of a particular configuration item, like say the high-level requirements document. At a certain point in the life cycle, we need to establish a baseline. Yeah? And basically, if you look at a baseline, it's like a basis, a significant state for further software lifecycle process activity. For example, that we're done with a majority of our high-level requirements and we think it's in sufficient state that we can put it in our configuration management process. then we can then give that a unique label. So example, version 1 of my high-level requirements document. Yeah, and establish that way a baseline. Now, of course, you start verifying the baseline by reviews or analyses or even test cases, and you may detect that there are some changes that you need to make. Well, these changes then need to also be documented and authorized by some kind of review board, and of course implemented and verified and approved. And that then goes back into an updated baseline. Yeah? So you see, it's kind of a feedback mechanism.